What's up everybody, Silasjp back with a new video, and again I want to do a video today I wanted to do for a long time now. It is a video you will find on pretty much any other channel related to camera gear or cameras or filmmaking tutorials or photography tutorials. So pretty much any channel of this kind has a video like this, and I really enjoy watching these videos, and it is what's my camera bag or in general my gear. And the reason is I find it so inspiring watching videos from other people, see what they thought about when they got this gear, and today I want to do the same thing here on my channel with my gear. So we're gonna start on this side and then move on to this side. So let's start with this, and I also have my calculator so we can calculate what my gear is worth. So we're gonna do a reset. Before we go to this gear, I want to talk about the gear I'm shooting on right now, because I'm shooting right now on my old camera, the Canon T3i, and it is on a tripod and has also a better lens than it came with. So let's say it is a T3i and it was at the time about 600 euros, plus the lens are 230 euros, and the tripod is from Amazon Basics and it was about 70 euros when I got it. So these are 900 euros. Let's move on to the soft boxes. So the soft boxes were about 65 euros, so we calculate plus 65 euros. So the slider also was relatively cheap. I mean, it's not the best slider you can get, but if you watch my barbecue video I did, you can see that you can also achieve some good results with this. So this is a slider, put it right back there, and the slider was about, I think, 40 euros, so relatively cheap. And voila, we are just over 1000 euros. Next we come to the more expensive gear. So this here is a Manfrotto tripod, and it has a fluid head on it. So this was the cheapest fluid head I could find from Manfrotto, but it still was over 100 euros. And this tripod right here is also pretty expensive. It's also a Manfrotto tripod, and I thought for a long time that if you get a Manfrotto tripod you're only paying for the name. But after having like 3 tripods from kind of no-name brands or cheap brands, and like this, the Amazon Basics tripod, it was just unsuitable for video because it wasn't really stable to do great camera pans with it or put a slider on it. So I needed to get a heavier tripod, and then I ended up getting this Manfrotto tripod. And the fluid head, I got it earlier, so all in all this are 270 euro. Then we move on to the glide cam. So I used a similar stabilizer from the cheaper brand Newer for the last year. It was about 80 euros, and then I replaced it with this because it is way better built, and you can also adjust more the weights of this. And because I'm using this in almost every of my productions, it was necessary to get a good stabilizer like the glide cam. So this stabilizer, it is more one of the cheaper glide cams, but I mean relatively cheap. This thing also costs 250 euros, but I mean it is a glide cam and you can also adjust it better than other stabilizers. Let's move on to the smaller stuff. So right here we have some gorilla pods. We have a big gorilla pod, we have a Sandmark action gear GoPro pole. It is more a better pole, so I paid a bit more for this because I broke, I think, 4 selfie sticks in a row before, and they were all like this 5 euro selfie sticks, and I want to get a better one. And this is a smaller gorilla pod, so all in all this were like with the ball head 60 euros plus depot were 45 euros plus 30 euros. And then I also got an LED panel. This is great for shooting indoors or outdoors at night, because as you can see, or you can see it that good right now, but this thing, it turns pretty bright, and if this room would be dark, you could light half of the room in a good light with this LED panel. So this is pretty good, and it was also about 30 euros. Then I got a battery grip for the 600D T3i. So this were another 20 euros, and it also makes the battery life longer without having to change the batteries, but it makes it heavy, of course. So that's the battery grip. Now we come closer to the cameras, and this here is the GoPro Hero 5 Black. So I got this camera I think half a year ago, and in one of my last videos I explained what issue I had with this, and it is a replacement. So the original price of this GoPro were like 430 euros. So that's a lot for an action cam, but as you saw, you are getting a good service for that. Somebody was asking in the comments which housing I would get for the GoPro, and this is like a no-name housing. didn't want to spend 55 euros on the official original GoPro housing. I mean, who does that? Or I just want to keep the GoPro dry and safe, and that's why I spent 15 euros on this one, plus the floating backdoor are 20 euros. So next we have some accessories, and I got an accessory bundle for 25 euros, and I mean, it's a good price. You are getting a lot of stuff. It is not the best quality. We're gonna start, before we come to the camera, with the filters. So I got for almost every lens I have an ND filter. So I mean, they are pretty good, and I would describe them as sunglasses for your lenses or for your camera, and they help you keeping your shutter speed always as stable as your frame rate is. Shutter speed in my case is 50 because I'm shooting with 25 frames per second, and they help me to make the image darker, that it feels natural. So these are the ND filters. So I would say they were, like with all the other filters I got for the cameras, 50 euros. We have here some SD cards, and I would say that all the SD cards I do have are kind of like 80 euros. So there are SD cards in the drone, there are SD cards in the camera, in this camera, in the GoPro, everything needs SD cards. And so next is the Peak Design camera strap. I made an entire video about it, and it was about 60 euros. It wasn't really cheap, it was more expensive, but I can tell you, this thing is totally worth it. So it looks good, it feels good, yeah, it's just comfortable, and I would recommend it to any videographer or photographer who's unhappy with his standard camera strap. Get this one. We do come closer and closer to the main camera, but first we have some batteries. So we have here 4 batteries for the A600. These are additional batteries. There's also one in this camera itself. I got for a T3i 3 additional batteries. One is in the charger and one is in this camera, so I can show you all of them. But they were 50 euros plus 30 euros are again 80 euros I spent on additional batteries. Now we finally come to the main camera, which is the A6300. So I have it because I'm using it for the most part for videos in the small rig cage. So the camera itself are 1000 euros, the rig cage with the quick release plate were another 100 euros, and the combat adapter were 50 euros. So this is 1150 euros what only the camera body with the adapter and the rig is. And as you can tell from this video, the audio is maybe horrible. The reason is because I have taken my microphone off, because I want to show it to you. So this is the Rode Video Mic Go, and I have put a dead cat on it, so I don't want to take it off now, but together these are 6 euros plus another 20 euros for the dead cat, so these are 80 euros for the sound. And I have to say I'm really happy with the results and the audio that this microphone delivers, so it was absolutely worth spending money on audio, and it is one of the most underrated things you maybe have in filmmaking, but audio is king. So your image can be bad, but if your audio is good, people will not care about the worst image, but not the other way around. You can have the best image, but if the audio is horrible, people will find your video also horrible. So yeah, that's what you should learn from this, and that's what I learned. And yeah, just get a proper microphone and also a dead cat, because it cuts off a lot of wind noise, I found out in Italy. So now we're gonna move to the lenses. I don't have a lot of lenses in comparison to other people, but I mean, this is the Sigma 18-35, this is my favorite lens ever. So this is the Canon version, and the price right now is, I think, over 70 euros. So the thing is, I bought it when it was used for half a year, and so it only was about 500 euros. I mean, not only, but it is a pretty good deal for a lens like this. Then there are other lenses. So this is a Canon FD lens 100mm, and this is actually from my grandfather, so I didn't pay for this. And also for this one, which is a 28mm. They are great lenses, but I didn't pay for them because they are 35 years old, but they are still super good and fine. So yeah, these are good lenses. So now we have here the Tamron 70-300. This is a cheap zoom lens. It has not image stabilization, but I just want to get a zoom lens and didn't want to pay a lot for it, so this is worth 100 euros, but I don't use it as much as it would be worth to get one of these Canon versions of this. So this is the Canon 50mm 1.8. A lot of people have this lens. It is a great lens for the price. It also has a wide aperture, so it's also about 100 euros. The last lens I want to mention is the Canon EFS 18-55mm. It is a lens which is shipped with many Canon cameras, and I also calculated it in the price of the 600D. Now we move on to my editing setup, which is the 13-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display from 2015. It is not a standard version. I mean, it has the 2.7 dual-core Intel processor, but it has the 16GB RAM upgrade because I'm doing a lot of video editing, so it was absolutely worth for me getting this upgrade. So the price of this MacBook, where that time I got it, 1,400 euros, and plus the software I used to edit it, I would count them as 1,600. I needed to get a hard drive, so this is from Silasjp, a 1TB hard drive, and it is fast enough to edit 4K video on it, which is cool. And it was about 40 euros. And then we move on to the last part, which is the drone. And the drone here, we have it, is the DJI Phantom 3 Standard. I mentioned it in my last videos. I'm pretty happy with the drone, it delivers a good quality. Yeah, I'm just happy with this thing. And this was about 500 euros. So the battery I got for this were another 80 euros, then 50 for the backpack, plus the ND filters. So all in all, to round it up, this thing was worth, when it was brand new, 6,665 euros. So some of this I got used, but for the most part I got this stuff new. So I paid for this on my own and I worked for this. And for years I saved money from birthday and Christmas and all the stuff and spent on camera gear. So the first stuff like the MacBook or the first camera and all the first accessories. I mean, filmmaking is a hobby, but it's also more of a hobby. It is a passion. And for example, I don't have a moped or a motorcycle or a car or anything like that. So I had no costs on that. So I was able to spend the money on my passion and my hobby, and then it worked out because today filmmaking is kind of my job, so besides school. So I'm now a filmmaker and I do corporate films and just videos for companies, and that helps me to pay for this gear, but like I'm not taking the money from that and spending on parties and alcohol and stuff like this. No, I spend the money right on the stuff where the money came from, because through this earnings I'm able to do what I do right now, and I'm happy with this. I'm happy to have spent the money on this stuff and not on stupid stuff, just things you don't really need in life. I think this video turned out longer than I expected it. So to sum this up, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more if you did. Yeah, and I can see you in the next one. Bye.